Hello and welcome everybody to Metaverse Live. This is the first program in a new series which it has segued out of NBC News. So I'm really happy to see you all here on the net, because I can see how many people are sitting there, and thank you very much for joining us. Now, who have I got here today? Eddie Clarity couldn't join us today, unfortunately, but we do have Sigmund Leominster. Hello, Sigmund.
Hello, and good evening to all our new folks who are watching this.
And we have Malburns Writer, of course, out of our regulars. Hi, Mal.
Hi, Dousa. Good to be back, I've got to say.
Surely is. And then I'd like to welcome, first of all, Toxxic Rhiannyr from AlterEgo. Hello, Toxxic.
Hi, Dousa. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And Jinnywitha Cleanslate of BBW. Hello, Jinny.
Hi, thanks very much for having me on your show.
Right, well, we've got, I mean, it sounded terribly serious when I sent the notices out that we're going to be talking about marketing and discrimination, and pretty well in that order. But first of all, I should just explain that we decided that we wanted more in-depth talking than we were covering in NBC News. And so our CEO, Robustus Hats, came up with this idea of doing an hour-long program and inviting other people to join us and talk about what's on their minds. And we mull over the elements that come up during the week before, and then we pick something and then we go for it. And what I do is I ask a member of the panel to introduce the subject. So, for example, we are now going over to Sigmund Leominster. We're going to start with marketing, and I'm going over to Sigmund to just give us an intro into discussion. Sigmund.
Yeah, thank you, Dousa. Well, I think the real thing that we're trying to do here is to make sure that we don't talk too much. That's going to be real difficult. But Dousa has got a clock, she has a hammer, and she's going to make sure that we stay on track. And so I'm going to leave this very quickly, but just wanted to introduce this by saying, you know, there's a lot of reasons that people join Second Life, and sometimes it's just to have a bit of fun, sometimes it's just to have a bit of sex, and other times it's to actually make some money. And there are folks who are in Second Life who seem to do quite well at this. And at some point, I think everybody has a try at making some money out of this. And it is a big business. You know, we're forever hearing how terrible things are in Second Life, how difficult it is, blah, blah, blah. But there are people who do make something out of their lives here. And the basic Economics 101, for those who are watching, is that there are folks out there who want to buy stuff. And there are folks in here who want to make stuff. And those people who make stuff then want to get that stuff into the hands of the people who want it. And the process by which that goes from the person making to the person buying is called marketing. Now, if you understand all that, you really have got economics down to a fine art. So we're going to talk a little bit here about marketing and how it is that people who make little primmy shoes get them onto the little primmy feet of the little primmy avatars. And our guests here are all involved in some way or another at marketing, whether that's marketing products or marketing themselves. But really what we want to find out here is a little bit about how do people go about that, and how is it that some people in Second Life can make money, and how is it that some people have a difficult time doing it. So I'm going to pick purely at random Toxxic and ask some thoughts on marketing, the problems, the issues, and how best to do it and how not to do it. What do you think?
I would think you definitely, as a store owner, you really need to take advantage of as much as you possibly can. Do a lot of research on the net about blogs, the different groups that are in Second Life, fashion groups. Take advantage of course, your own group. Utilize that as much as possible as far as passing out notices to your group and making sure everybody is on the same page at all times. I always recommend having your own blog. I post to mine several times a day, trying to keep everybody in the loop as far as new releases, etc. You know, events that go along with the store. I think it's really important to network in the game. I talk to a lot of other store owners, just kind of about how, what different things they do to run their business. You know, we can kind of go back and forth and compare, our situations to each other, you know, talking to other people, bring up new ideas, maybe collaborations, between stores. But yeah, you definitely have got to, you have to talk to people. You have to. You can't be quiet, and you can't be to yourself. You really have to get yourself out there, and don't be afraid to speak up, and don't be intimidated by maybe bigger stores, stuff like that. So always talk. You have to, and do your research. Look for just do your research. Look for groups and websites and blogs, stuff like that.
I'm going to come in here, Toxxic, because what I have perceived, and the reason that I invited you onto this show tonight, is the fact that I have been seeing in Second Life lots and lots of commentary about people falling away, about sales falling away over the last sort of year or so, and that the sims are empty and all the rest of it. And then I go and have a look at the traffic on your sim over the weekend, and it was 47,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, when did you actually open your shop?
It opened February 12th of this year. It's not even a year old yet. And yeah, the traffic from over the weekend was crazy insane. But I constantly try to find things that will be fun for my customers to be involved in. That's kind of what's different about me and the way I run AlterEgo. That I actually care. I actually care about every single person that steps foot on my sim, whether they spend any money or not, whether they are in the group or not. There are extra things, of course, being a group member for AlterEgo. But I really enjoy spoiling people, to be very honest with you. So I'm constantly trying to find new ways to get everybody involved. And this past weekend, we ran a really huge event, and the numbers were out of this world. I had no idea that it was going to be that big. Yeah. So
I'm going to bring Jinnywitha Cleanslate in here, because Jinny, you've worked, as far as I know, for 4 years as a club manager, which is a really difficult place to be, isn't it, in clubbing at the moment?
It's very hard at the moment.
So
it's very hard at the moment going, just generating a regular stream of traffic that you can really hold, and then trying to think of fun events to hold that will attract your members, your group members, and keep them coming back.
I know that Toxxic is working at it nearly 24 hours a day. I mean, you know, I've just seen the length of time that she spends, and particularly on setting things up. Is that what happens to you? You've been doing it a lot longer to some extent in a different area. So tell us about your experience.
It has, to a large degree, it has kind of really occupied a huge part of both lives. I really enjoy it, and I like helping. You've got also, when the new people arrive in your club, you have to help them, and if they've got questions, I like to spend time really making sure that they're very happy with Second Life. If they've got any new, just general new starter questions that we all had when we first joined, like clothing, changing clothing, and best places to go. And I hope that putting in that foundation work will keep them coming back to our club. We also have a lot of brilliant regulars who are also very willing to help. But in terms of promoting the club, just the friendliness and the friendly banter that goes on between all our members is really awesome. But it is hard work, and you do kind of end up dedicating a massive amount of time, much more than many people realize. And my real life friends all know about Second Life and how much it all means to me and how much my club means to me as well. That's really good.
Over the time that you've been here, I'm just going to bring in Mal, because marketing isn't only about the individual or the individual club or the individual designer or shop or concern in Second Life. I mean, there are massive businesses in Second Life, aren't there, Mal? And also there is, of course, Linden Labs marketing of Second Life itself. I think you've got some news on that.
Yes, I mean, marketing means lots of different things to different people. I mean, our guests have already nailed it in many ways, but obviously the way you go about marketing an event like a music event is very different from the way you market a pair of shoes. There's also the real world businesses that you mentioned in your introduction, for example, that sometimes people say it's all sort of rather empty now. I think the failure of many real world businesses is that they come in with their own ideas about marketing and don't really understand the virtual world, where they should be looking to people like Toxxic, who understand the in-world environments. And that's really, you really have to understand the world itself to actually get on top of marketing within it. Linden Labs themselves, it's been the news this week, have actually launched a game, oddly enough, within Second Life. It's a sort of game that spans several sims, and there's a sort of quest involved. I think there's a bit of shoot me up involved, and it's being offered to premium members, in other words, newbies, as we might call them, who newly come into Second Life on the free passport, as it were, don't actually get to access this game. Neither do long-term residents like me, who aren't premium members. And I'm curious. I don't think Linden Lab are the best marketeers in the world, to be honest. They can't market the platform very well themselves. But it does raise the question of what particular market Linden Labs are actually trying to reach, because this is very obviously a kind of something probably coming from Rodvik, a gamer's perspective, saying, well, here, as well as your courtesy Linden Lab couch, you can now have a courtesy Linden Lab game on a sim that as a premium member you can only get into. And I wonder about the wisdom of this, because, it is the user's content in Second Life that is king. And some of the criticisms I've seen in blogs recently are actually about Linden Lab. For example, they take over the marketplace and they make the marketplace easier to use, and it kind of erodes the in-world businesses to some extent. So I'd be really interested how our guests feel, about, Linden Lab's own tactics in relation to what they're trying to do.
I think, Sigmund, you were saying earlier that when I asked you to introduce this subject that you have masses to say on it.
Masses to say. In real life, part of my job is in fact marketing. But what I'm real curious about within World, particularly, is what people find to be the best way of getting the information out. Is it by note cards? Is it word of mouth? Is it by taking out ads? Is it advertising on Metaverse TV? Is it taking out an ad in a Second Life journal? What are the best ways of getting your marketing information out to people?
Well, can anybody answer that? I have my own ideas, but
I can answer that. I think just for me personally with AlterEgo, my best form is word of mouth. It really is. The marketplace does have a lot to do with it, because I think a lot of people do use the marketplace to shop. So that's definitely a good tool. Also, I pay for ads on the marketplace to show up on the front page. That's really good. And then other placements throughout the website. those help as well. But it's really word of mouth, and I feel really lucky to have everybody talking about the store, and it's kind of all the buzz. But that seems to be what's driving my store to be as big as it is.
I mean, for me, with the club, when I hold an event, I like to get the decorations up. Like I usually like to really theme the club up and make sure that people understand the theme and they can see the theme really clearly, and so they can prepare in advance. And then I'll do the group notice. I'll talk about it in the chat with people as they come in and comment on the decorations, and I'll try and get everybody really aware. And word of mouth is so vital in Second Life. I think it's vital everywhere in both lives, but in Second Life certainly with the decorations. And then after the event, I'll generally leave them up for a couple of days so people can kind of see and still feel the atmosphere. And I have a lot of really good staff members backing me as well, and they'll all talk about it in group chat, and we'll all get everything ready in a few days in advance just to put that word out, as well as the group notices and the group chat notices. And yeah, word of mouth is vital.
And how much time do you reckon that you have to spend in terms of percentage of all the time you spend on your businesses and your time in Second Life? How much do you think of your time is spent on focusing on the marketing aspect of it?
Time.
Yeah.
For me, it's probably 95% of the time.
Okay.
I'm thinking about, definitely the marketing part. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about the next event. As soon as one event goes down, I'm thinking, like now, I'm planning the whole of the winter season events and trying to get everything slotted in, because trying to sort out where people are in terms of their real life situations and how much time they can dedicate into the events. And like I said, I'm really lucky because I've got such a brilliant sort of group of people and staff that really help me out in the club. But promotion and everything, it just takes up so much time and so much thought. And I have notebooks by my bed that I'll sit and write out ideas. It gets that bad. And it's really quite a lot of time you do have to spend.
I'm going to toss this out to the panel. What do you think would be a really good way that Linden Labs could market? They've got their Facebook page now, remember?
I don't know. I mean, they did the Facebook page, they have Twitter, they've hit up all the social medias. They even had, I noticed, on YouTube, they did a lot of advertising, putting the little banner up, and they pushed it as a free, I think, I'm not sure it's such a good idea to push the free part. It's hard enough for industries within Second Life to generate money anyway, and to generate Linden dollars. And of course, when you're new and you see all the new clothing and everything, I don't know how much of a percentage of users and residents that they lose purely because the residents can't tap into an income quick enough or easy enough. But with the advertising on YouTube, I know through people and traffic coming through the BBW World Sim that it was, there was a definite increase of traffic for a while, but then I don't know if it was just from the people talking to me or telling me, but the new avatars that you can create have a lot less capabilities in customization, or there's a lot less you can do with them than, for instance, when I joined on a free account. And I think perhaps they should reconsider that. I don't know how else they can market it. I think any virtual world is always going to be prone to negative viewpoints from outside society who don't understand. I mean, Second Life often gets called a game, and not a lot of people within Second Life that take it seriously, like myself. I see it as a virtual world, not as a game. It is a world. So I'm not sure how they can improve their marketing. I'm not sure how they can push it any further. But I think they could certainly do more incentives to join, and I don't know if they can sort of give them a better option of free items to start out with, rather than the classic, what you can identify as a new person. I think it's a very difficult job. I don't envy them.
Well, actually, just apropos of that, can you tell everybody what your club is, please? Because they're all asking in the chat, so I think you've got the possibility of new members here.
Yay! Yes, come on down. I run a club called the BBW Heaven Beach Club. We're a very friendly group of people. We do lots of parties and events, but mainly we just hang out. We have a huge tolerance policy, but the only thing we don't tolerate is soliciting within the club. We're just a great bunch of people that hang out, and we're usually, a lot of our members are of a larger framed avatar. And we're quite unique in our level of acceptance. We just accept everybody, really. And as long as you're there to have fun and relax and not cause offence, then come on by. It's great fun.
Sigmund, you had something to say.
Yeah, I was just going to add here, and it's something I think we've said before, is that I think Linden Lab have an ongoing problem, which is they seem to have a platform without a purpose, in the sense that, for many things, a game is a game, a social network is a social network. You know what it is you've got, so you know what it is you're marketing. I think Second Life's problem is more that it tries to be a lot of things to a lot of different people. And exactly as you were just saying there, there are some people who take their Second Life very seriously. They see it an extension of First Life. It's a virtual world, and they're using it for a purpose, which is to have a business and do that. There are other people who do see it as a game, and there are other people who see it just as a social network. And I guess one of the problems is that Linden Lab are trying to sell this in 3-4 different ways to 3-4 different groups of people, and that's what makes it difficult for them to do. And as both folks have been saying today, the best way to sell it is once you get inside it, because once you get inside it, word of mouth spreads, you find out what's going on. But, I don't think there's an easy answer for Linden Lab to do any more marketing themselves. But, I think we can all recognize that it's hard to try and sell something that has, different, purposes for different people.
Thank you, Sigmund. I'm going to wrap that part of the conversation up now, because we're halfway through our program, which seems to have gone very quickly so far. And we're getting on to the second subject that we were going to approach tonight, which is discrimination. And I think that Ginny segued very neatly into it when she started describing her club. But I'm going to ask Mal to just introduce the subject so that we know where we are in the subject matter.
Okay, thanks, Dousa. Well, I mean, everybody I suspect out there knows that we're actually sitting in a world called Second Life, but that actually is sort of part of a greater sort of metaverse. And I think it's part of the pioneering spirit, really, that we view these worlds as a place to have new experience, and that in many ways they're a level playing field. We have anonymous avatars by and large, and we don't have any real need to expose ourselves, our real world identities, etc. But nevertheless, each avatar is a real person, and we convey things in world about how the way we dress, the way, if we use voice, the way we sound, and gradually, I think it's a kind of microcosm of the real world. And one of the things that seems to be sometimes creeping into Second Life, and maybe other metaverses these days, is what has been described as one of the less charitable expressions of human nature, i.e. discrimination. Whether it's the colour of skin you choose for your avatar, the shape of your avatar, and whether you plan to be natural or unrealistic, politics, gender, all the variety of human life, and our prejudices too, maybe, are sort of represented in here. And increasingly, you know, someone will have something to say about another person based on what they perceive that other person to be, and they can sometimes do it rather aggressively. And as pioneers, many of us felt we had put the old world baggage, as it were, in the past. But of course, as platforms get bigger and everything else, that isn't really the case. So, I'd like to turn to Ginny first, because she mentioned that, her club in particular, has an open door policy and, if anything, makes a point of catering to possibly people that have been discriminated against. Would you say that's the case, Ginny?
Absolutely. For my own experience, when I first joined, I joined Second Life with the view to have Second Life as an extension of my own life. And I spent a lot of time creating my avatar to be as similar to my real life self as possible in body shape. That was the first object that I kind of hit a boundary to, that I couldn't create a fuller figured avatar without having some level of distortion. And then I corrected the shape and it was great. Within our club, we do have an open door policy, but it's often surprising how many tales of discrimination that I hear. Myself, when I moved out of my early days of running around and discovering all the joys that Second Life has to offer, I found myself being actually banned from several clubs purely because I had a larger avatar. And I was given body shapes that were of a very thin avatar. There's nothing wrong with being a slimmer avatar if that's what you would like. But for me, I wanted to be me, and people were actually saying, no, that's not acceptable. And I found that really hard to deal with. And then going around and being banned, and I was really beginning to get disillusioned with people in Second Life and with society as a whole. And then I found the BBW Heaven Beach Club, and we do have a very open door policy. I mean, we don't mind if you're a giant or if you're a shorter stature, you know, Neko goth. We don't actually mind what you are, as long as you are clothed and you're respectful to everybody else in the club, and you're just there to have a bit of friendly chat. But the level of discrimination, I think it's a reflection on real life society. And that's a shame. And it seems to be quite intensified because people feel so anonymous on the other side of the screen, and some people think they then have the right to attack you because you can't see them physically, and that's not on. But those people, I do talk to them, and I do like to put my side across and push it that we're all human. We're all sitting behind a computer screen just trying to enjoy our second lives. So why does one person think it's okay to bully and harass? But also as a different shaped avatar, you have other challenges, such as clothing design is very difficult. I have thousands of items in my inventory that simply I can't adjust to fit a larger avatar. And I know when I joined as well, skin color was another issue. You didn't see very many dark skins, and when I looked into that when I was a new member, just out of curiosity really, that I found that actually Linden Lab and the technology is now advanced, so you can have the different skin tones. But at the time, skin tones are very hard to produce in, for example, a darker skin tone. You couldn't get that almost natural look to it. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of issues, and I think there is a lot of discrimination in Second Life, be it unintentional or intentional. It is a reflection on real life.
I might ask this to Toxxic too, but we were, you know, this came up in the marketing thing, and that is that, you know, most people know, Linden Labs who run Second Life, they are in the west coast of America. They're very much part of American culture, and the culture they impose on us is to a very great extent an Americanized culture. And there is a lot of outreach in Second Life amongst different parts of the world and things. But do we feel that this platform maybe is a bit biased in its sort of geographic context?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. There seems to be, I could be totally wrong about this, but there seems to be a lot of angry people that log in to Second Life, and for whatever reason, they feel that they can take out, I guess, the day's frustrations out on any random person walking around or whoever is on voice. And personally, it's kind of frustrating for me, because prior to AlterEgo, I kind of hung around at welcome areas, because that generated a lot of traffic, and there was a lot of people there to kind of talk to and get to know. And that's frustrating that, you're new in Second Life. You just log on and you get dumped in a welcome area. And then you automatically get beat up on. Just as soon as you drop, someone decides to completely waylay on you. And I don't know if they had a bad day or if they're just a mean person in general. But I think there is a huge problem with discrimination. I don't know that it's intentional or not, but it's that way in real life too. So, it's definitely a big problem.
When I first came into Second Life, I bumped into two people that I knew in real life, and it turned out that they were very early adopters. I came in about 2007, but they'd been in since 4 or 5, I think. And in life, they're married. And I'm not going to say any names or anything, but it is a mixed marriage, and they reflected that in the way that they lived in Second Life as well, and they were absolutely hounded by racists until they lost the joy of it. And I know they come in every now and again, but not very often, and it's a huge loss. I mean, absolutely huge loss that those two people have gone off the platform.
Yeah, I can definitely relate with that problem, because I met my boyfriend, who I live with now, and I met him on Second Life, and I live with him now in real life, and he is Haitian, and I am white. We have come into quite a bit of problems being together in Second Life. People decide that they want to try to say something. So I can definitely relate to that problem right there. But I think because we met in Second Life and we're together now in real life, that we don't let that stuff really get to us anymore, because we could run into that problem going to the grocery store together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we really don't. I really don't care about all that kind of stuff. I just try to let it roll off my back, because it's just words and people just want to be mean.
Sigmund, you wanted to say something?
Actually, for those folks who spend some time offline actually doing things like reading books, there was actually a very good book came out earlier this year, and this is by a guy called Elias Abujaoudi, and he's a psychiatrist, and he's based at Stanford. And he wrote a book called Virtually You, and he looks at the online personality. And I have a little quote here which is sort of summarizes, I think, what people are saying here. And it goes as follows. The online self is dangerous and irresponsible, running roughshod over our caution and self-control. It can encourage us to pursue unrealistic or unhealthy goals. It can make us feel smarter and more knowledgeable than is warranted. And it can encourage us to behave more selfishly and recklessly. And I think that's something I think that we've all experienced at some point with people that we meet within the virtual world. And it's exactly as I think one of you was commenting earlier, was that when you get online, you feel so anonymous that you can get away with these things. And I don't think it's necessarily because it's dominated by the Americans or other groups. I think it's part of this notion of the online personality, that when we get online, we somehow become different. And maybe not all of us, but it's something that has been recognized, and there's actually a word for it. It's called, I think it's association. And it happens to us all at some point. And I think we've all at some point been guilty of claiming to be something we're not.
All right. Claiming to be something we're not. But I mean, it's actually, it's a very wide subject, isn't it? Mal, I can hear you wanting to come in.
Actually, I'm sort of finding something rather amusing in this, actually. I mean, the idea that somebody, anonymity, on the web versus non-anonymity, should we say, is a debate in itself. But it seems to me rather ironic that people who hide behind anonymity to discriminate or to make just opinion out of themselves with other people are often assuming that the other person is not hiding behind anonymity. So if somebody comes in who's anonymous and starts slurring me about my shape and my age and the colour of my skin, they're kind of assuming that the age and the shape and the colour of my skin are reflecting my real self, as it happens. I'm like Ginny. I try to be my normal self, albeit a tiny bit younger, but, many people, I'm sure there is a very Caucasian white person in Middle America somewhere, for example, who might be role-playing a very ethnic African woman. Maybe they really like that culture, so they want to role-play into that culture. And they might suffer discrimination for the very, even though their real-life person behind the avatar is not somebody who would be discriminated against. So I find it slightly odd in some ways. My own reaction is to just steer clear and switch off if people behave like that. But we do have to face the fact that there are people around who are taking liberties there and really should know better or should be taught better.
Well, Sandra Bressig's coming in with what is really cool about Second Life is that psychology classes have this software as part of their curriculum to get a better understanding of what is Second Life and why do people play it. And in fact, we've got psychology majors in the chat as we speak, having a big chat and extending it to their.com. Now, actually, she's brought up something interesting here which is about the sexuality, and that there are sort of major discriminations as well, aren't there? There are areas in which seem to make everybody nervous in one form or another. It's kind of the child avatar area.
Yeah, in our club, we have an open door policy, and we're dictated to by guidelines of Second Life that and indeed of the resident society themselves, that you can't really have a child avatar in the club. So I I am a person in a child avatar, and just politely explain. And I've never had a negative comment or a negative answer from the child avatar. And I think because they're almost used to being pointed out that you can't be in certain areas, you can't do certain things, that they just accept it as part and parcel of Second Life, which is a little bit of a shame. I mean, I can kind of see from a superficial viewpoint when you look at a club and there's all the adult dancing and the chat might be borderline. You wouldn't expect that in real life. So I can understand, but at the same time, child avatars do hit a lot of prejudice within Second Life. And it's very difficult.
Yeah, I think there's always been an endless problem in the Metaverse generally, and that is the people, forget gaming that we brought in a minute ago, but just role play. I mean, some people come in to escape and like to play roles. Other people, even if it's just for entertainment, are strictly sort of augmenting their real life. And, I find that to be it's almost as though we're creating new discriminations. And I actually figure that if it's okay to discriminate against furries if people need to be furries, then it's okay to discriminate against child avatars. But if it's not acceptable to discriminate against furries, why should it be acceptable to discriminate against child avatars? And as you say, there's a magical mix in Second Life of the role play and the augmentation. It can be problematic when you meet somebody who wants to talk about marketing a new business, getting back to marketing. You've got to check out whether they're a real world player who's serious about it or whether they're simply role playing it where things like profit don't come into it. So, we have this very confusing mix, but I think in entertainment terms and stuff, we have to allow for the fact that the role play and the fantasy play invariably overlaps with our normal augmentation. And I certainly don't object to child avatars being around. What I'm very cautious about, of course, is that there may be, adults, well, they are all adults behind the child avatars by and large, because of the, you've got to be an adult to be on the grid more or less, so a teen at least. I am wary of paedophiles and stalkers and things like that. I would hate to think that, somebody role-playing a child avatar is actually, a paedophile or something like that. So
is that what makes us nervous then?
I think that makes me nervous. How do our guests feel?
I don't know that I've ever thought of it that way, but the only time I can think of to where I warned somebody in my store when a child avatar is around. There's quite a few of them that come in and slap in memboards and stuff like that, and that very well could be an alternate avatar, or they might just shapeshift within that one account. But, sometimes I do have to, if their parents are with them, sometimes I do get in the IM box and I'm like, because they're role playing. So I'm trying to think of a parent actually walking into a store like mine with a small child. So since they're role playing, I'm trying to respect what they're doing and just saying, this really isn't a store for kids. Though my sim is mature, the type of clothing that I design is very sexy and it shows a lot of skin. So sometimes I have gotten in the box before and just said, I'm just letting you know, I see you have your kids with you. This really isn't a kid's store. So you can stay and they can stay. I don't care if they run around here and stick lollipops in people's hair. I don't care. But I'm just letting you know that this isn't really, a kid's store, and they might see something that you're not going to be very happy with.
And then, of course, we have the other issue that mum is actually daddy shopping for these wonderful clothes.
But that's okay. So listen, Toxxic. You've got Toxxic and Ginny here, and Ginny is saying that she can't get clothes to fit her in Second Life.
It's the biggest thing that a larger avatar, especially a female avatar, that we have to deal with. Skirts are incredibly difficult. Sometimes I have to wear 2 of the same skirts, which is a problem if it's a no-copy skirt, because I'll wear one round the front and then one round the back and match up the circle. It's a whole task. And now I was speaking to some of my club regulars earlier on today, and one of them demonstrated the problem that we're now facing with the new mesh outfits. That you just can't modify them, you can't customize them quite as well. So I'm not really sure how going forward, because mesh is so new in Second Life, and it's a wonderful feature. I mean, it has great promise. But I'm not really sure how, having seen for myself now. One of my club members demonstrated for me, and I was quite alarmed that you were some kind of restricted, and she actually had to change her avatar shape to fit within the outfit that the designer had paid, and somebody had paid £2,000 for their outfit. And
oh my God.
I've spent countless of thousands of lindens on outfits that simply I can't wear now. And it's sad, because you look at a design outfit and they're brilliant and we love them, and then we buy them and it doesn't work. I mean, we have to a degree that problem in real life anyway. It's just you can take it back in real life and get a refund.
There seems to have been a major mistake by Lindens on the mesh side, because there's been a campaign which has been successful to raise a lot of money for the former Cole Linden to actually work on that very problem about being able to reshape meshes and stuff. But it's going to be a while. So once again,
it is.
Okay, sorry, Sigmund. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an opportunity in a minute. Okay, but it's 4:55. I mean, time has gone very, very fast, and we're going to have to wrap up in a minute. So I'm just going to go round you all and give you an opportunity to speak at will for a minute. And I'm going to start with Siggy because he's busting.
Well, all I was going to say there was that, and I'm not a technical guy here, that is the problem with making clothes the right size a technical one that needs to be addressed at the software level, or is it a marketing one because people are just not making it? Because there's two solutions. The marketing solution, of course, is that here's an opportunity. I don't know. I'm not a technician, so that was just my comment I was going to make.
Thank you, Sigmund. Okay, we'll move in order. So go to Ginny next.
Yeah, I mean, just with the clothing issue, I think it's always going to be one of those things that we just have to get round with prejudice. I just wish people would be more tolerant and more accepting of all AVs. And because at my club we're very tolerant of everything, and I think on the whole out on the street in real life many people are more tolerant than they are on Second Life. So if you're a resident, then I hope that you will find the same level of humility and acceptance that you would out on the street than you do in our wonderful virtual world.
Thank you, Ginny. Mal?
Well, it's been a great conversation, but yeah, I think one thing's just come up that Ginny prompted out of me. There is a great difference between tolerance and acceptance. Many people will wander around telling you all the while how tolerant they are, as if it's really important to convince themselves they are tolerant. But are they really accepting? Is acceptance, true acceptance, really part of that equation? And more often it's not. Maybe it really is just down to the way we market things in this society, the online virtual society. I mean, I would hope maybe that because those have been our two real topics here, that somehow marketing can be conscientious and bring the sort of variety and absence of prejudice. Into marketing in Second Life. That would be perfect. So that's all I'd say, really.
Thank you, Mel. And Toxxic?
It was a really good conversation. I'm glad I joined you guys. I guess my final words would just be for everybody to be nice. Be nice. We're all people. And it just makes it so much harder to get work done and to have fun. I mean, a lot of people use Second Life when they get off of work. They've had a horrible day at work and they just want to come on here and have fun and kind of release and be with friends and, maybe even family members. Just take it at ease and calm down and don't be so rare. There's really no reason for it. There's really no reason. But I say this a lot. I actually, say this in my bio that's on my website. Just remember, we're all people. We're all people. We're all doing the same thing. It's real feelings sitting behind the avatar. So just treat people how you would want to be treated. I mean, that's a elementary lesson. Do unto others as you would have do unto you. So just always remember that.
Absolutely, Toxxic.
Yeah.
So there we are. We've come to the end of our first episode of Metaverse Live, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And there's masses of conversation on the website. I can see that people have just gone mad, which is just brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for joining in so much. It's just fantastic. And next week we'll be here, same time, same place, and we may even have the sim open for a live audience. I'll let you know. If you want to pick tellies up to watch in world in the comfort of your own sim, then you can come to Metaverse Island and pick up a freebie. And we'll give some to Toxxic and some to Ginny as well, so they can continue the marketing ploy.
Yay! Thank you. Come and watch them at our businesses.
Absolutely. We could have a Metaverse Live evening, or day, or morning, or afternoon. And it's just to say that one of our guests next week will be from Fearless Nation, Anya Ibor. She'll be on with us talking about what's been happening with Fearless Nation all week. And we hope to see you soon. Take care. And thank you, everybody.